Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor, and I am disabled, even though I don't look like it. I'm still getting used to saying it. Anyway, I wanted to talk about disappointment today because I've been disappointed a lot. And it seems to be coming up in my meetings, and I thought I should probably do a podcast episode on disappointment. So I came up with this about a half an hour ago that I was going to do this topic. My mom and my niece came over today, and so I was focused on that. Usually, I have time to sit down and be contemplative about my episode topic. But today I kind of, I don't know, came up with it at the last minute. And that's okay because it's something I've been thinking about. So we'll just see what comes out of me today. So dealing with disappointment, most specifically, what I've been sharing about in my meetings is this concept of the post-disappointment pause and how to redirect your thinking into something more positive. So disappointment, I mean, it's a part of life. It's something that I think I've struggled with not having disappointment change my entire day. If I'm disappointed about something, I can be like, my day is ruined, catastrophic thinking. It's almost like if I bump my head, this is since I was little. If I bump my head, it's like my day is ruined. Why that is, it sounds humorous, I know, but I'll tell you, nothing puts me in a worse mood than when I hit my head on something. It's very odd, but I wonder if other people have the same issue. It pisses me off when I hit my head. I get really pissed off. So over the past 3 years, I have been very familiar with the feeling of disappointment. Whether it is unmet expectations, like thinking that I'm going to start feeling better, thinking that, thinking that I am feeling better, and then I try to do something and all of a sudden I get sharp pains in my head and I'm like, okay, I guess I haven't improved at all. Setbacks, that is a big one that I dealt with a year ago when, I regressed massively and ended up having to leave my job. And that was probably the biggest disappointment I have. Do I want to say ever faced? I mean, we'll just say it was a big one for me. We're just gonna say that was a big one in my life. Unexpected challenges, trying to figure out how to live my life this way, and feeling like, everything I try hurts my head, so I can only do it for 15 minutes or something like that. Like, I just get disappointed all the time. And it's on any scale, there are big disappointments that I'm dealing with. There are little itty bitty disappointments that I'm dealing with. And it disrupts me, it disrupts my balance when I try so hard to wake up in the morning and follow this program that I have set up for myself that is based on the AA program, but then I've incorporated stroke recovery. And so I've got this pretty, strong foundation of a program that's just customized just for me. And I try to share that on this podcast. Like, what is it that I'm actually doing? What is easy? What is hard? What do I, make commitments about and then I fail or I don't meet my own expectations, that kind of stuff. But disappointment can disrupt my emotional balance again on a small scale or a big scale. But it doesn't have to dictate my whole day. And that is really, really challenging. So I'm doing this episode because it's something that I'm facing lately is being disappointed in something. For example, here's a good example. My husband and I went to his mom's house for family lunch. And when I was there, I think I shared this with you, but when I was there was a bunch of people there, and then a lot of them left. And then there was just four of us there, one being a young boy. So the young boy, super adorable and cute, and just one of those squishy little, you love to hear him talk because he's got a tiny little voice. And he was there and he was running around, and I just love it. So much energy. And I was watching him run around. I was watching him run around, and that was a big no-no. So I ended up like all of a sudden it like hit me like a Mack truck. Like all of a sudden I was super, super nauseous and had to lay down because I forgot that I had a disability. I forgot. I was enjoying watching him run around. I felt normal for once. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not normal, you know? And when that happened to me, that was disappointment. Once I felt well enough to sit up again, we had to go. I had to go home and go lay down. And so while we were driving home, I was disappointed, you know? And that disappointment lasted 2 weeks, did 2 weeks it lasted that I was like, why am I even going to vestibular therapy if I can't even sit in somebody's house with like four people and I can't feel well enough to stay? Um, I was very disappointed. I get disappointed because I'm reminded so often on a daily basis, I'm reminded that I have a disability. And um, what I tend to tell myself, my self-talk says I'm not normal. I'm not like everybody else. And I don't know if that's not a healthy way to say that to myself. It's probably not. It doesn't sound healthy. So maybe I should ask my psychiatrist about it. Or if any of you have any suggestions, I will take them. You can talk to me on social media or you can email me or go to my website and fill out a form. Anyway, um, I disappointment can impact not only my day, but it can impact a couple weeks. And it wasn't until this past week that I got out of that funk. And I was telling my vestibular therapist this past week, that I finally stopped questioning vestibular therapy, but I was questioning it for probably like 3 weeks. And that's too bad that I let that kind of disappointment really upend my entire program that I have for myself. And I start questioning my own program. What am I really doing? What's the point of all of this? That's what happens when I don't feel well. When I go to a doctor and I don't get anything in the way of progress from them, it disappoints me. and I start questioning everything again. It's constant. It happens all the time. So what I've noticed is, and I'm not putting it into practice, but I was thinking about this idea of a post-disappointment pause. Because when I'm disappointed, I jump on the disappointment train and I just ride it all the way to the North Pole. You know what I mean? I just don't jump off the train. I just keep going and I settle in, I get comfortable. I have the waiters bring me hot chocolate and I just stay on the post disappointment train. But if I were to pause, and really the post disappointment pause is a mindfulness moment that allows to regroup and redirect my thoughts. And when I experience disappointment, the initial reaction is to it's like it ignites a fire and I let it just burn down all of my mental and emotional progress that I've made. And I let it completely color my entire outlook on my recovery, on my future. It's crazy. It feels insane what it does to me. And I'm not beating myself up about it. I'm not saying that I suck because of that. I'm just telling you honestly what happens inside of me when I get disappointed. And by acknowledging, what I'm thinking is by acknowledging that I'm disappointed and naming it, something that we talked about early in the podcast this past year. But disappointment's just another one of those emotions on the color wheel. So we notice it, name it, and then that stops it. That, okay, this is disappointment. That's what I'm feeling. And once I'm able to acknowledge, because I'm a human being, and if I can almost set myself up so I'm observing my humanity. I'm not getting trapped in the feeling, but I'm allowing myself to kind of look from the outside in and notice what is happening to me. This happened and it has disappointed me. By doing that, the idea is that I can stop riding, I can get off the train and I can pick a new train. I can get off, figure out what other train I'm going to get on. So think of this pause as like a compressed moment of prayer and meditation. It doesn't have to be prayer and meditation. This is something that I've always thought before I got sober, before any of this. Rachel version 1.0 thought that prayer and meditation, first of all, were just completely independent of each other and had nothing to do with each other. That prayer was something that religious people do, and meditation is something that people who listen to YouTube do. I don't know. That's what I had no idea. Like meditation to me was people who were just kind of like, I don't even know what I'm saying, wore tie-dyed stuff and 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 it's nothing like what I thought. Prayer and meditation don't have to be formal ceremonies. They don't have to be lengthy exercises that we get involved in. Sometimes just taking a deep breath and thinking about prayer and meditation can serve as the prayer and meditation itself. It's, sometimes I will, if I want to center myself, I'll think about the last time that it's usually when I went to bed the night before, got on my knees and prayed and was grateful. Or I'll think about the last meditation I did before my nap. Usually same thing the day before. But I'm not actually doing anything other than like grabbing a hold of myself and reminding myself that I'm not alone. You're not alone. Everything's all right. Everything's always okay, by the way. It's not gonna be okay. It's already okay. And prayer and meditation, by just thinking about them, for me, is doing it. It's like a hot second of prayer and meditation. And it centers me and it allows me to find just that moment of peace in the middle of the chaotic brain that Rachel has. So how do we deal with disappointment in this kind of way where we're stopping ourselves and recognizing what's happening? So this is what I'm kind of talking myself through this on the episode itself. Like live action is happening right now. So so what I said earlier is the first step in dealing with disappointment is recognizing that I'm feeling it, to acknowledge that your humanness is coming out right now, Rachel. I'm upset, I'm frustrated, or I'm sad, and that's okay. I think part of it is when we feel frustrated or when we feel disappointed, it feels like I'm not supposed to feel disappointed. That disappointment is a negative thing, and I need to get rid of it as soon as possible. Even at the beginning of this episode, I was thinking in that way. I was thinking, how can I get off the train and get on a new train? And wow, that reminds me of remember my psychiatrist talked about how remember that we're human beings and we are capable of feeling complex emotions. We are able to be sad and grateful at the same time. So this applies here too, right? It is okay to feel disappointed. And we are capable of feeling disappointed but hopeful at the same time, right? I can be disappointed that I didn't get to go to tea with my friend on Friday, but I can feel hopeful because my mom and my niece were coming over today, or hopeful that I have another engagement with some women next Sunday. So, allowing myself to experience the disappointment. But I think what my psychiatrist talked about was time boxing it. Don't sit in it. Don't try to get off the train right away. Like ride on it. Finish your hot chocolate. If you don't know, I'm referencing Polar Express, but finish your hot chocolate, pull the little cord down that you're telling the train, what's that thing called? Conductor. Nice job. Telling the conductor that you'd like to get off. You know what I mean? So acknowledging the feelings, letting it happen. Don't be so afraid of them. And but time box it. Recognize that, okay, I feel disappointed, but now I've thought that through, cry if you need to cry. I mean, it depends on what it was that you're disappointed about. And then take that deep breath. So we're acknowledging it, then we're pausing, taking a deep breath. And that deep breath, I think I told you guys, I started this whole deep breath thing when I quit smoking. Was it when I quit smoking or vaping? I think it was when I quit vaping. Yeah, when I quit vaping. Um, I when I decided I was going to quit vaping, I started lowering the nicotine um, on the vape juice stuff. And so every month I would lower the nicotine by 3 milligrams. So at the end, I was on 3 milligrams. So I switched it down to 0. So for 1 month, I did 0 milligrams. Then I was like, okay, so I definitely am just doing this because it is like a mental or, I need to have something in my hand. Obsession, it's not physical anymore. So I put the vape down, and then whenever I wanted to vape, I would take a deep breath, but I would actually go outside or go wherever it was that I would vape and that I used to vape, and I would take a deep breath, or I would take a few deep breaths. And that simple act actually was really, really effective in replacing my desire to vape. It worked for me. I talked to my son, it did not work for him. But if anybody out there vapes or smokes, it really worked for me. And to this day, I still do it whenever I need to calm down or that feeling where I would normally want to smoke or something like that. I still take a deep breath. It's really probably good for me to do that, but it has become a pause for me. It's become something way, way, way more than quitting vaping. It has become a space for me to measure my response to whatever it is that I'm disappointed with or that I'm angry with or whatever, fill in the blank for the feeling. And then, so once I'm able to take that deep breath, and sometimes it takes more than one, then I can start redirecting my thoughts. I can make a conscious effort to redirect my thoughts to something positive. And so, one thing that I talked to my psychiatrist about was that tendency that we were just talking about this last week, the tendency that I have to fill my time with activities. And so what I've been doing lately is if I feel something that's icky, I will allow myself to feel it for a few more minutes than I want to. And then I would get up, I would change my environment, change my location. So let's say I was in the living room and I had something that felt icky, on my mind, then I would not just get right up. I would sit with it for a couple minutes, and then I would change my environment, go, up to this room and start working on a terrarium or sew or do something to redirect my thoughts. But she was challenging me to not try to do something to redirect my thoughts, but to more think something that redirects my thought. And it makes a lot of sense to me, right? Because when I'm saying redirect my thoughts, I'm not saying redirect my actions. I'm saying redirect my thoughts, which means this all has to do with what's going on up in here. So whether that means I think about a happy memory, or I think of something that I'm grateful for, or I could do what we had a recent episode about, which is to dream, get dreamy about something. Daydreaming, I'm trying to do it a little more. And it seems like if I let myself daydream, I feel very vulnerable. I feel very vulnerable to disappointment. And you could say that this episode is an extension of the daydreaming episode that I recently had. Um, so redirect your thoughts. So we said, acknowledge your feeling, name it. I'm disappointed. Take a deep breath, redirect your thoughts, not your actions, redirect your thoughts. And that could be gratitude, happy memories, daydreaming, focusing on something that shifts your perspective from what is wrong, what you lost, to what you have. Even in disappointment, there is always something to be grateful for. There just is. Yeah. So then I think, for those of us in sobriety, call your sponsor, pick up the phone and say, I was really disappointed about this. This happened today, and it really disappointed me. And just say it out loud. I need to do that way more often. I've been trying to start picking up the phone, even when I know my sponsor's working or something. I'm trying to practice just picking up the phone. And I'm hoping, as I continue to practice, and I'll leave her a message and I say, hi, I'm practicing picking up the phone. I hope you have a great day. Bye. What might be helpful is to also pick up the phone, when I feel disappointed, or I feel something negative, or I feel something positive. Like, just pick up the phone and leave her a message if she's working, and just say these things, because if I'm disappointed that I didn't get to go to tea with my friend on Friday, it just sits with me if I don't tell somebody. So I ended up telling my husband that I was disappointed. And immediately, I mean, just because he's awesome, and when I told him I was disappointed, he said, well, now you have time to do this, to cook and bake, to prepare for your mom and your niece coming. So he knows what I need also. He knows that I have to have help shifting that, because I have a lot of training to do up here in my brain to get myself to see positive in this new version 3.0 that I'm living in. So throughout this process, don't forget that at any time, you can connect with your concept of your higher power. Prayer and meditation is always available to you, no matter what. And I forget that. I forget that I'm not alone. I I know that I don't have to deal with things alone. Like, I know that intellectually, I know that I can call somebody, or I can do prayer or meditation But I have to be reminded that it exists, that I have these tools. I forget that I have these tools. But if I do that pause, I'm more likely to remember that I have a big toolbox of things that can help me through things like disappointment. So over the past 3 years, I I've I've tried really hard to be vocal about my disappointments, and sometimes I feel bad talking about things that are negative because I've always been such a positive person. Um, but lately I find myself wanting to like be a professional suck it upper, just suck it up and move forward. But I can't suck it up. I can't keep sucking it up. I have to talk about it, or I'm not going to process it. So it's important that dealing with disappointment is something that I think we have to practice. It's it doesn't come natural for me I feel like a child when I get disappointed. I feel like I want to stomp my feet up the stairs and slam my bedroom door. That's what I feel like. Um, but that pause keeps me from doing that. Keeps me from it like calms that what feels like a volcano inside of me that's about to erupt. It calms it down if I again like back up or observe from the outside in that you're a human feeling human feelings. Let's do something about it. So that's what I've got today on dealing with disappointment. So let's practice it together. We've got the acknowledge you're feeling disappointed, give it a name. That's disappointment. Take a deep breath and redirect your thoughts into something positive. Practice some gratitude, daydream. Um, and then reach out, for goodness sakes, talk to somebody about it. No matter what it is, like just tell somebody what's happening. And remember that prayer and meditation are always there for you, and they don't have to be some big formal ceremony. Prayer and meditation can be uh, can last a hot second or two, a long walk in the woods, whatever. Prayer and meditation is always accessible right up here and right here. And I try to remind myself of that on a daily basis. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will talk to you tomorrow.